Hi, and welcome to Conscious Chronicles. Today, I have a truly compelling story to share with you. It's the journey of Lyla Morgan, a woman who had an extraordinary near-death experience that reconnected her with her faith and brought back a powerful message for the world. This is her story, in her own words. My name is Lyla Morgan, and I'm 60 years old. For most of my life, I believed I was living a fairly typical life. I've been married to my husband Tom for 30 years, and together we have 3 wonderful children who fill my life with joy. We live in a cozy house with a white picket fence. The kind of life that might seem flawless from the outside. But as perfect as it looked, I'd strayed from the faith I'd grown up with. I was raised in a Christian household and attended church on holidays. But by the time I went to college, my faith began to fade into the background. Life became a whirlwind of work, family, and responsibilities. As the years passed, I found I wasn't making much time for God anymore. Then, it all changed with a routine surgery. I had been dealing with gallbladder issues, and the doctor assured me it would be a straightforward procedure. I remember sitting in the waiting room, feeling a mix of nerves and relief. I'd never been under anesthesia before, so I was anxious, but also hopeful that this would end my discomfort. After the surgery, everything seemed fine at first. I was back home, sore but recovering. But a couple of days later, something felt off. It was a subtle feeling at first, a strange unease in the pit of my stomach. Soon, I noticed hives appearing on my skin, and then my throat began to close up. Panic surged as my heart raced uncontrollably. I looked at Tom and managed to choke out, "Call 911." The next thing I knew, everything went dark. Tom told me later that the paramedics arrived within minutes, working frantically to stabilize me. By the time we arrived at the hospital, my heart had stopped. Clinically, I was dead. But in that very moment, I felt something incredible. 1 minute, I was struggling for air, filled with fear and confusion, and the next, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over me. It's hard to explain, but it was as if I'd woken from a nightmare and realized I was finally safe. The relief was so profound that it wrapped around me like a warm blanket. I found myself floating above the hospital room, observing the scene below. I could see the doctors and nurses working urgently, their faces etched with concentration, while Tom paced in the hallway, a look of fear and worry on his face. I watched it all, but I felt completely detached, as if I were merely a spectator in my own life. The fear, the chaos, all of it faded away, replaced by a deep, consuming tranquility. Then, in an instant, I was pulled away from the hospital room. It was as if a gentle force was calling me, and the scene below faded as I felt myself drawn toward a presence filled with love. Suddenly, I was in a place of pure light, not harsh or blinding, but warm and gentle, surrounding me completely. The air itself seemed thick with love, and every worry, every fear, every pain I'd ever known melted away. Then I saw him, Jesus. He stood just a few feet in front of me. His presence was overwhelming, yet deeply comforting. His face radiated love and compassion, and it felt as if I were gazing into the very essence of kindness. There was strength in him too, an authority that reverberated through everything around us. His eyes held a depth of wisdom and love that transcended words. He didn't speak in the way we think of talking. Rather, his voice resonated directly in my heart. I felt his message within me, a whisper that filled my entire being. He told me, "It's not your time yet. You must return, but first, there is something you need to know and something you must share." I didn't fully understand at first. I longed to stay with him, to remain in that place of profound love. But Jesus was both gentle and firm, as if he knew that my time there was only temporary. He extended his hand to me, and when I took it, I was enveloped in a warmth beyond description. We began to move together through a vast expanse of light, gliding as if there was no separation between us. Then, we reached a place that felt heavy and dark, a stark contrast to the light we'd just left. I realized with a shiver that it was hell. The cries of despair were deafening, and the air was thick with sorrow. I trembled at the sight and turned to Jesus, asking, "Why are we here?" He looked at me with deep compassion and said, "You need to understand the consequences of turning away from God." I watched as souls suffered, their faces etched with regret and sorrow. It was a sight I would never forget, a reminder of the choices we make in life and the importance of seeking God's forgiveness and love. Then, he led me to a place of indescribable beauty. I realized we had entered heaven. The colors were more vibrant than anything I'd ever seen, with gardens, crystal clear rivers, and angels singing in harmony. I felt an overwhelming joy, a love that surrounded me entirely. Jesus said, "Here is where your spirit belongs. This is what awaits those who choose to follow me." But before I could fully take it in, I was brought to yet another place, a place of brilliant light. Standing before God the Father, I felt a love so profound that it was almost too much to bear. His presence was awe-inspiring, and as he spoke to me, I felt his words resonate within my heart. "Your mission is crucial. You must carry this message back to the world. It is time for my children to awaken." In that moment, I was enveloped by the Holy Spirit. I felt a unity between Jesus, God the Father, and the Holy Spirit, a perfect oneness guiding us all back to love and truth. Then, Jesus said, "Now let me show you what's coming." I was given a vision of a man rising to power, someone charismatic and charming, a figure who drew people to him, with promises of hope and transformation. But Jesus revealed to me that this man was the Antichrist, someone who would deceive the world with a mask of benevolence while harboring dark intentions. I saw him making deals with leaders, focusing particularly on the Middle East and Israel, and even rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem. Jesus told me, "He will come in my name, but his heart is set on destruction." Jesus then instructed me to return and share what I had seen. "You must tell your story," he said. "People need to be vigilant. They need to turn back to faith and to prepare for what is to come." I felt a deep sense of responsibility, but also an overwhelming love that soothed my fears. Jesus' presence was so powerful that even amid the chaos and fear, I felt an unshakable peace. Then, I felt a sudden tug, a force drawing me back. I gasped as I returned to my body, surrounded by the sounds of the hospital. I opened my eyes and saw Tom, his face filled with relief. I tried to tell him what I'd experienced, but the words were hard to find. Over time, I've shared this story with my family and my community, hoping to encourage others to reconnect with their faith and remember the importance of love, vigilance, and hope. Thank you for joining me in hearing Lyla's incredible journey here on Conscious Chronicles. If you found this story meaningful, please subscribe to our channel and share your thoughts in the comments. Together, we explore life's deepest mysteries. This is Conscious Chronicles, signing off. Remember, stay grounded in love and seek the wisdom within.